My favorite category at the Oscars is Best Supporting Actress. It's the one with the most surprises and the widest range of winners, not only in terms of age, but in experience. Hey, it's Michael, aka Oscar Man. And in some prior videos, I posted what I thought were scenes that I felt won the Oscar for several winners in the Best Actress category. For this video, I'm going to discuss what I feel is the Oscar scene which may have resulted in some supporting actress wins that are not the ones often discussed as much as others. As to whether these were wins deserving, I'll cover that too. But before I get to those less mentioned winning performances, I'll start with one that is as highly regarded as I think it deserves to be. And that's Mo'Nique in Precious. I won't rattle off its official title. I have vivid memories of watching this film in a theater, and there were audible gasps during the various scenes where Monique's character, Mary, reacts brutally to her daughter. This 2009 film is arguably difficult to sit through, and while I thought Monique's character was a true villain, it wasn't until her final scene in the film where I said to myself, the Oscar is hers. I've watched this scene many times because I think it's a masterclass in acting, and I honestly hadn't seen Monique in anything dramatic prior to this film. With the camera mostly focused on her, Mary reveals who she truly is, and it ain't pretty. I was also really surprised by Mariah Carey here. She was quite good as the social worker. But this is Monique's moment,
That was
when her
my
character
fucking
hears herself
was
confessing
my
to the
baby
physical and
and he put
emotional
it in my
terror
mouth.
she has wreaked upon her daughter,
And that's
and
why
she
I hated
ultimately
her.
realizes who
Because
she
my
is
man
and
who
what
was
she has
supposed to be
done.
loving me, who was supposed to be making love to me, was fucking my baby, and she made him leave. She made him go away.
So whose fault was it
It's
then?
this bitch's fault because she let my man have her and she didn't say nothing. She didn't scream. She didn't do nothing. So those things that she told you I did to her, who else was gonna love me?
It's devastating. And I distinctly remember hearing people in the theater openly crying. Even though Monique won Best Supporting Actress in a year with little to no competition, there was Penelope Cruz in The Awful Nine, Vera Farmiga's nomination, which was a question mark for me. Maggie Gyllenhaal came out of nowhere, and Anna Kendrick, the only performance I thought was really good. None of these nominees had a chance. I'll venture a guess that Monique received a minimum of 50% of the votes. And even if she had been nominated in a more competitive year, I believe she still would have won the Oscar. This is among my top 5 most deserving wins for supporting actress. In 1999's Girl Interrupted, Angelina Jolie became an actress of note. The daughter of Oscar winner Jon Voight, Jolie had appeared in a handful of lesser-known films before landing the much-coveted role of Lisa in the film version of the memoir of the same name. This is the one that brought her to the attention of filmgoers and the Academy. It's a showy part that many young actresses wanted, including Courtney Love, who auditioned for the role. Jolie stated that she consciously made a choice to play Lisa as the only character who was sane in the entire film, and I think it was an effective one. While the real-life Lisa was a sociopath, Jolie's interpretation and actions were perfect for this character's pathology. Though she had many Oscar scenes, I think the one that got her the statue was when Lisa used her cunning cruelty to take down a fellow patient, played by Brittany Murphy. By exposing the young woman as a victim of incest, Jolie was entirely convincing as a woman suffering from borderline personality disorder.
Fucking situation, and the warden makes house calls. And everybody knows that he fucks you. What they don't know is that you like it.
I'm not going into Jolie's acceptance speech or her personal life. This is about her performance. Like Monique, Jolie won all the precursors, and though she faced a more competitive lineup, I think she earned her Best Supporting Actress Oscar. Regina King has proven herself to be an actress of considerable range and depth. Hell, I remember her on the TV sitcom 227, though my eyes were always fixated on Jacquet. King is a worthy Oscar winner. I just wish it was for a different film. When I watched 2018's If Beale Street Could Talk, I remember waiting to see what all the raves for this performance were about. I finished the film feeling let down. What was Oscar worthy about King's performance? Okay, she did have that one scene, which was always mentioned, when her character Sharon set things straight with her mother-in-law to be, played by Oscar nominee Aunjanue Ellis.
That child is coming. It's your grandchild. I don't understand you. It's your grandchild. What difference does it make how he gets here? The child ain't got nothing to do with that. Ain't none of us got nothing to do with that.
I will reiterate that I think King is a very talented actress. This performance just isn't one that screamed Oscar, at least to me. What do you think about this win? I'll move forward to a performance that some have thought deserved an Oscar, while others aren't as crazy about it. In 1960's Elmer Gantry, Shirley Jones, late of ingenue roles in such films as Oklahoma, Carousel, and April Love, played prostitute Lulu Baines. Was this stunt casting? I don't think so, considering writer-director Richard Brooks' complete refusal to even consider Jones for the role. She got the part as a result of co-star and co-producer Burt Lancaster lobbying for her to be cast. Brooks relented, though with blatant hostility shown towards Jones when filming began.
And he was co-producing, and he fought for me, and I got the role because of Burt. But I never got one direction from Brooks. He sat in his chair, smoked his pipe, and never said a word to me. I went home that night, and I was in tears, and I said to Jack, he's going to fire me. He doesn't want me. And the next day, I didn't have to work, and he saw my work, what I did before, the day before, and he called me, Brooks. He said, Shirley, this is Richard Brooks, and I owe you an apology. He said, not only are you going to be great in this film, but I predict you're going to win an Academy Award.
Wow. Jones proved everyone wrong and showed a much different side of herself with this performance. I think she had a great Oscar scene. It's a lengthy one where Lulu runs the gamut of emotions with her former paramour, Gantry. Here, Jones goes from playful seductress
You look swell, kid.
Likewise.
Just swell. Sorry about last night.
Get it. Baby,
to
how could I
pleading
put the
victim.
squeeze on you? Who's going to take the word of a $5 hooker against
The old
Elmer Gantry?
Badger game, huh?
Only wanted to see you for,
For what?
well, for...
For what?
Gee, honey, look, I'm almost packed. The cops gave me notice.
An ultimately manipulative blackmailer.
Wearing a tin star, I got mad, boiling mad. All I could think of was me, how you took me and ditched me. That's all I could think of, me, little Miss Lulu, the dumb pushover. And the cops said, get out of town in 24 hours. All I wanted to do was spit in your eye, blackmail you, shake down anything to hurt you.
I'm positive this scene helped her win the Oscar, despite being nominated against a very strong competitor. Jones reportedly campaigned hard for the award, spending her own money on trade paper ads. However, since Elmer Gantry won 2 additional Oscars, I don't look upon her win as a fluke. But fear not, Jones returned to being typecast when her next big film role was Marion the Librarian in The Music Man. Now don't look for Beatrice Straight here, since her Oscar scene was also basically her one scene in the entire film. However, I think she deserved to win for her role in Network. This next winner has certainly had her share of detractors. Jennifer Hudson is one of the rare actresses to win an Oscar for her film debut. Chosen to play the role of Effie in 2006's Dreamgirls, Hudson won the part after hundreds of others were considered. I saw the stage version of this musical with the incredible Jennifer Holliday performing the role she originated, for which she won both a Tony and a Grammy. Hudson had big shoes to fill, and it became obvious early on that her rendition of The Big Number and I Am Telling You I'm Not Going made her a frontrunner for the Oscar.
Even though there are times I show there's just no way, that's no way. We're part of the same place. We're part of the same time.
Most assumed she would be placed in the Best Actress category, since that's where Jennifer Holliday won her Tony Award. But Paramount saw an easier path during awards season and decided to suggest Hudson be placed in the Supporting Actress category. The strategy worked. Hudson swept the major precursors, winning a total of more than 100 awards from various critics groups. Her Oscar victory was a foregone conclusion. While I don't think she was undeserving of the award, I also never saw why her big Oscar scene was so magnificent. Of course she can sing, but for me, something was missing. I think the way the scene was staged didn't present Hudson as strong as she could have been. It looks like the Academy and most of the public saw things differently. I had heard that film audiences were standing up and cheering during this scene. They didn't in the showing I attended. Maybe it was too overhyped and my expectations were too high. I think Hudson did fine for an inexperienced newcomer. She captured the essence of Effie, or Florence Ballard, and she held her own among her co-stars who had longer filmographies to their credit. Let the debate begin. What did you think of Hudson's Oscar-winning film debut? One of my favorite wins in this category is by an actress not known to contemporary audiences. Jo Van Fleet was a Tony Award-winning stage actress who made a big splash in 1955, appearing in 3 films, all of which were Oscar-nominated. Not only was she featured in The Rose Tattoo, which won Anna Magnani the Best Actress Oscar, but Van Fleet had a strong supporting role in I'll Cry Tomorrow, featuring one of Susan Hayward's best performances. But it was Van Fleet's smaller role of Kate in East of Eden for which she won her Best Supporting Actress Oscar. While the film is nearly 2 hours, Van Fleet only appeared for a total of 15 minutes, and 10 of those consisted of her big Oscar scene. As a madam who meets her son, played by James Dean, following years of estrangement, Van Fleet shows the hard-bitten but ultimately compassionate Kate as a fully developed character, despite her limited screen time.
Yeah, you got sense. Maybe you don't fall for that slop any more than I do. Maybe you know what people are really like, what they want. I got the toughest house on the coast. And the finest clientele. Yeah, half the stinking city hall go there.
Van Fleet, under the direction of her mentor Elia Kazan, with whom she studied at the Actors Studio, made a very strong impression on me the first time I saw this film, which says a lot considering that James Dean, also making his film debut here, was the star of the film and her scene partner. Oh, a side note. One can only imagine what East of Eden would have been like if the actor who screen tested with Dean for the role of his brother had been cast. But I digress. Jo Van Fleet was not a shoo-in come Oscar time. Her strongest competitor was Natalie Wood in Rebel Without a Cause, whom many thought would win that year. Neither film was nominated for Best Picture, so both actresses had a good shot at the award. But because Wood was only 17 years old at the time, perhaps Academy members felt she was too young for a grown-up Oscar. Jo Van Fleet might have suffered the dreaded Oscar curse, as her film career consisted of only a handful of roles following her win. Still, it remains one of my favorite performances. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you check it out. Before I discuss the final Oscar scene, I want to thank you for being an important part of this channel. Your viewership and support motivates me to press on and create videos as well as the daily polls. Your thoughtful comments are insightful, enlightening, and often entertaining. I have learned a lot from you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like at the end. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please join our community. There are some really great people here who love to discuss the Oscars as much as I do. Talk about an Oscar scene. This one has been discussed for decades, not only among moviegoers, but in college classrooms, where this particular one has been studied by aspiring actors. The film is 1948's Key Largo, directed by Oscar winner John Huston, and it starred some pretty big-name talent, among them Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall, Edward G. Robinson, and Lionel Barrymore. Based on this cast, you can imagine the theme of the story. It ain't a comedy. Only one member of the cast was nominated for an Oscar, and she won. Claire Trevor was a screen veteran by the time she was cast as Gay Dawn. Trevor began her film career in the 1930s, and Key Largo was her 50th film. A previous Oscar nominee for Dead End, also with Bogart, Trevor landed a role that could have easily ended up as another stereotypical, cliched, alcoholic former nightclub singer who becomes a gangster's mistress. Early in the film, Trevor establishes who Dawn is. There's nothing particularly noteworthy about her performance, yet. But later on, in a rather claustrophobic setting, her character is called upon to sing in front of a captive audience. The problem? Dawn's glory days are long behind her. Her voice is gone. Her so-called boyfriend is abusive. Gay Dawn has hit rock bottom. No more evident than the scene where she is forced to sing for a much-needed drink.
Moaning low, my sweet man, I love him so. Though he's mean as can be, he's the kind of man, he's the kind of woman like me.
Trevor conveys that her character doesn't want to go through with it, but Johnny Rocco, played by Robinson, taunts her. Claire Trevor spoke at length on TCM about shooting this scene, stating how she waited for director Huston to tell her when she could report to the music department to rehearse her number because she wasn't a singer in real life.
We came back from lunch one day and he said, "I think we'll shoot the song today." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, you're going to sing it." I said, "I can't sing." He said, "You'll be great." And Lionel Barrymore said, "You can do it, you can do it." So they put me out in the middle of the set, the whole cast sitting around looking. And off stage they had a piano, hit one note, said, "Now go."
But Huston knew what he was doing. He wanted to catch her off guard, which is what happened to her character. Trevor nails the scene, perfectly showing the humiliation her character experiences while being publicly degraded, just so she can desperately satisfy her addiction. I always found it painful to watch her because she makes you feel uncomfortable. She is definitely pitiful, but not a martyr. Claire Trevor's performance was one of the easiest Best Supporting Actress wins in Oscar history. Let me know which Best Supporting Actress Oscar scene stood out for you. And until next time, here's a touching memory from sweet Shirley Jones.
The first thing I knew, he rammed the fear of God into me so fast I never heard my old man's footsteps. The next thing I knew, I was out in the cold, hard snow in my bare little soul.